I play a lot of gacha games. Well, not that many compared to other people, but I like to think I play a good amount. Call me a Hoyoverse shill, but I'd be lying if I said I didn't get at least some enjoyment out of their games. I make sure to log into Genshin Impact, Zenless Zone Zero, and the subject of today's video, Honkai Star Rail daily. I try my best to do the story and content of all of these games in a timely manner, but sometimes it just gets to a point where it's too much. But I've been trying to fix that. I wanted to see not only if I can keep up with the game's content, but try to get every achievement it has to offer. But not the in-game achievements, that's way too many. Unless you want me to do this someday, let me know. The achievements I'm talking about are the ones on PlayStation. Every few updates they add more and more, so this video isn't going to be future-proof at all, but I thought it'd be a nice excuse to check out the world of Honkai Star Rail a little more than I'm used to. And although I did like a lot of the journey I took to get to 100%, there was one part of it that I still dread. But before we get to the horrible parts, let's start with the small stuff. Since I've been playing for a while, a lot of the mainline achievements have already popped. Stuff like reach a certain level, get to a specific part of the story, etc, etc. We're not talking about those today. Instead, I'll be focusing on the smaller things. The things that are really easy to miss if you're just playing the game casually. And if you haven't played this game before, any names or locations you hear me say aren't really going to be important. It's just me trying to be specific. Also, there's not really an order I did any of these in, as I just decided to go for these achievements at random. So, let's start by finding Herta. Herta is the leader of a space station, and she made a ton of mini versions of herself that are scattered all around the place. By finding and talking to these dolls in 5 different locations, you unlock Disposable. Next, by traveling to Belobog and finding a note on this crate, you can go to a group of kids huddled around. By battling all of them in rock, paper, scissors, I forgot the reason I needed to do this, but I'm sure it's not important. You get for ages 12 and up. They don't look 12, by the way, but whatever. We're going to be in Belobog for a while, so get used to it. Now it's time for our first companion mission. Back during the early days of the game, Hoyoverse would release what they called companion missions for every playable character in the game. Although they've stopped doing that now, they never took out the already existing ones. And since I've never done any of them, I'm left with having to do every single one. But going into detail about that would be tiring, so I'm just going to list them here instead, since none of them required me to do anything crazy. Hook, Silverwolf, Luoka, Yangqing, Arlon, Asta, Clara, Natasha, Serval, Yukong, Lynx, Kafka, Luca, Sela, Fushuan, Bailu, Jingliu, Argenti, and Black Swan. There are some other quests that aren't companion missions but still revolve around a specific character like Topaz. And just in case it needs to be told, I did not skip any of this. I know this game gets a lot of flack for people not reading the lore or paying attention at all. I am not one of those people. This segment took about 10 to 20 hours to get through and I was there for all of it. But this doesn't mean the end for quests. Oh, no. We're just getting started because I'm missing some story quests that were introduced during specific patches, and little did I know they turned out to be permanent. Although you don't have to beat the entire quest to get some of the achievements, I decided to do anyway because why not? Both of the missions I had to do involved defeating an entire battalion of evil wolves and their big evil wolf leader, and a fighting tournament. One is much more exciting than the other. And finally, for my final mission, I had to do the story that was introduced when Honkai Star Rail did a collaboration with Fate Stay Night. I didn't think this would be a trophy because events like this tend to not be permanent. I still don't know if this is or not, but it was on the list so I had to do it. And admittedly, this is the one quest in which I did skip all of the dialogue. In my defense, whatever is said in the Fate collab isn't going to hold any water to the lore of the game, so I decided to not waste my time and move on. Now with all of that done, you probably noticed during all of those names that I was in completely different locations that weren't the Herta Space Station or Belobog. Yeah, I got sick of those places real quick, so I decided to drop the consistency and go wherever I wanted, so we're here now. This is a CN Show Alliance, and by speaking to this lady and going around the ship to gather these mechanical birds, I get 7 birds in the hand is worth 1,000 in the bush. That doesn't make any sense, and my god was that a mouthful. Back in Belobog, I have to interact with every trash can in the city to unlock Don't You Dare Waste It. If you didn't know, there's a whole joke involving the protagonist that they love trash, so that's probably why I had to do this. After that, I had to solve these box puzzles over the course of a few days to get the banality of evil. and with an anticlimactic finish, that is pretty much everything I needed to do. This game wasn't intensive at all, except for the one thing I alluded to before. The one thing I dreaded mentioning, the most time-consuming trophy out of them all. This is Swarm Disaster. Swarm Disaster is kind of like a roguelike mode, where you take one of your teams and go through stages, gaining buffs, getting items, and defeating enemies and bosses. Normally something like this will be fine. However, what the achievement says I have to do is clear all Swarm Disaster stories. In order to do that, you have to fulfill enough of the missions that are stated on these pillars to unlock those stories. And if you've played roguelikes before, you know that missions involving this genre take multiple runs and a lot of RNG. Thankfully, I did this so late in the lifespan of the game that the mode inevitably became piss easy. This was released during the 1.3 patch of the game. I played it in 3.2 when Castris, the best DPS in the game at the time and debatably still is, came out. So I abused that advantage. So it's not that this was difficult to get, but it was just really time consuming. I started to do a run a day just so I can slowly do it without losing my mind. But with enough time and luck, I eventually did it. I managed to get every story, complete every mission, and reach max level in Swarm Disaster. And with that, I have 100% completed Honkai Star Rail. Wait, what? Okay, so this video took a little too long to get out, so a whole new world dropped with Planecardia, and given that I thought I'd be done with this sooner, I didn't record any of my Amphorius missions or its miscellaneous trophies. So here's the proof that I did it. Yeah, this wasn't the way I expected this video to end on, but that's the risk you take when playing a live service game. Now we can finally say that this game is done, and since we've reached the end of the video, would you be interested if I 100% Genshin Impact in Zenless Zone Zero? I'll probably do it anyway, but your input could make it happen faster, so let me know. And in terms of what I'm going to 100% next, I have a vague idea, but I guess you have to stick around to find out. See you in the next video.